Hi Parshwa, how are you?
I'm doing great, Babita. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And I really appreciate that you took time to share your journey with the aspiring students.
Yeah,
And let's begin with your educational background. Tell us about from where did you do your schooling, your bachelor's, and your master's?
yeah. I did my schooling back in India in Gujarat. Uh, I did in HB Kapadia school, and I did my bachelor's in computer engineering in Vishwakarma Government Engineering College. That was
Okay.
in Ahmedabad, Gujarat as well. And
Mm-hmm.
then I came to pursue my master's at Santa Clara University in California.
California. Okay. And what's your major in your master's?
It's Information Systems, MSIS,
Information
Master
system.
of Science in Information Systems.
Okay. And when you were applying for universities in US, I would like to know what all university you applied, and out of those university, how many of them offered you admission?
Yeah. So I was focusing mainly on universities in the Bay Area, and also I wanted MSIS course. So that pretty much shortened my list to three universities, which was Carnegie Mellon University,
Mm-hmm.
was Santa Clara University, and third was San Diego State University. Out of which
Okay.
I got admit into Santa Clara University only. So my decision was pretty clear. Like, okay, let's
And
go.
that too, it was in the center of Bay Area compared to
Yeah,
San Diego and all. Okay,
absolutely.
yeah, that's good. And also, our viewers would like to know, in case if they get, admission from various university, what should be the criteria for choosing the right university, in your opinion?
Yeah. So having seeing the ranking of the university is one thing, and seeing the ranking of the course inside that university is the other thing. And I think the latter part is relatively more important, because sometimes
Mm.
even if the university is great, but the course for that specific university, or I mean the specific course in that university, is not that great. So
Okay.
and like talking to some alumni and making sure that the course is good is one thing I would surely recommend. Other is of course the location, which I think plays a role when you look for internships and full-time jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, rankings, location, and fee structure, of course, that plays a role. That's
Obviously, studying in US comes with a huge price tags, especially for international students.
yes.
Um, okay, now let's talk about your GRE and TOEFL preparation. How did you prepare for these exams? Did you take some online classes, or did you go to any classroom
Mm.
coaching?
Yeah. So for GRE, yes, well, while I was pursuing my bachelor's, I did some coaching for around 6 months, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and for TOEFL, I didn't do any coaching. I studied for like 15 days and appeared for it.
And from where did you take those classes,
So
Parshva?
there's a coaching institute called Renaissance in
Okay.
Ahmedabad. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I took it from there. Yeah.
Okay, and 6 months was a good enough time to invest
Oh
for
yes.
these kind of. Okay, and would you mind telling about your GRE and TOEFL scores?
Sure. My GRE score was 312 and TOEFL was 100.
Okay, and was there a minimum GRE score needed for admission in your program in specific in Santa Clara University?
So they don't specify like a minimum score, but yes, they do encourage students to have a score on an average of 308. So I believe
Okay.
if you have a score less than 305, uh,
Mm-hmm.
might be difficult. But if you have a score about 305, that's fine. And more it is, better it is kind of.
And what was your score?
305.
Um, yeah, TOEFL.
TOEFL was 100. Yeah.
100. Okay. And also, I want to understand from a student perspective is what plays a important role when it comes to getting admission in US university. Is it your GRE or your GPA?
And that's a very relative thing based on each and every university. But for my university, I don't think GPA was relatively as important as GRE. So I would say for Santa Clara University, they look at GRE more than GPAs.
Okay. And let's talk about your visa application. How did you prepare for visa interview? Did you visit any website? Did you speak with people outside?
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah. So I also joined one consultancy to help with this visa process, as well as guiding me on which universities to apply and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they pretty much helped me with all the interview process as well.
So they arrange all the documents and everything in on behalf of you.
Yep.
Oh, that's a good way out in case if you want to outsource things.
Oh yeah.
So do you think these agencies are good enough to do things on your behalf and take right decision for you?
So they usually consult us, and the decision is of course ours. But
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's not necessary. Like if you are capable enough of doing some research online, there are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of good resources. Uh, I, I don't remember the names of one or two websites, but yeah, there are pretty good resources if you end up looking at like what documents to take for visa, or which
Okay.
are the top universities for MSS. Quora has a lot of good information, and of course now Connect
Mm-hmm.
will be one of the.
Okay. And also, I want to know, would you like to give any tips or suggestions to aspiring students, especially specifically when it comes to visa interview preparation?
Stay calm. I mean, US requires these international students, and
Mm-hmm.
the economy is dependent on the income they receive from these all international students coming. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't worry too much if you have a decent GRE score, and if you have got university from decent universities. I'm pretty sure
Mm-hmm.
you end up getting visa.
Okay. And now let's talk about the loan. I want to know, did you apply for loan through some private agencies or through some bank?
Yeah, I did not apply for a loan,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't have a lot of information.
Okay. And would you like, I mean, I am just, in case if you have spoken with others in your batch, would you like to recommend any, bank or any financial institute which gives loan at a good rate for international students?
Uh, I'm not sure about the rates, but I did hear few of my friends going through HDFC, Credila, or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good bank. Okay. Now let's talk about your college campus. How big is Santa Clara University, and what are the other infrastructure? If you can just talk about that.
Yeah, the campus is relatively small, not very big. But talking about the infrastructure, yes, it's pretty well equipped considering uh, all the amenities that you would need as a student, as well as
Mm.
the classes, like
Mm-hmm.
projectors, proper sitting areas, collaboration rooms, and things like that. So it's good.
And how is the general environment inside the college campus? Are like people super serious, busy studying, or how's it?
Very friendly, I would say, because I would every week or two there would be some fairs or events going on around where
Mm-hmm.
you like get to interact with a lot of new people, and there are a lot of clubs. Like if you are interested in some specific religious club or some sport clubs, you
Mm-hmm.
enroll into those and like I mean have fun. So it's very
Okay.
it's not at all pretty serious.
Okay, all right. And is your university famous for any particular program or sports activity?
Uh, I know law school at Santa Clara University is very famous. Uh,
Hmm.
about sports, I'm not too sure. I'm not.
Okay, okay. And now let's talk about the facilities and let's start with library and lab. Tell us about the facilities inside libraries and lab, and are there any specific numbers of library or labs?
We do have a completely separate building for a library, which is I guess 3 or 4 story. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of places to sit quietly and study. A lot of uh, computers there to like access and browse and study on that too. If you sometimes if you don't have a laptop, you can pretty much rely on using one of the computers there.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a very quiet and calm
And
environment.
it's free for all the students, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And is there just one central library or there are like department specific libraries too?
Our department didn't have a separate library, but I guess I'm not sure, but law school or some other might have one. But
Might
usually,
have one.
engineering
Okay.
schools and business schools had a common library, which was a main one.
And what about gym and recreational facilities inside the campus?
Yeah, it's pretty huge, I would say. Yeah, it's like it opens pretty early and closes late night, so students like they can go anytime. And there are a lot of courts like basketball courts, swimming pool, table tennis courts, lawn tennis courts, and all those things. So it's
Okay. Okay. And does the college has any healthcare center? Any and what kind of medical facilities does it provide?
Yeah, they do. They do have a healthcare center where they can do regular checkups. I haven't visited frequently there, but
Mm-hmm.
vaccines, frequent checkups, and if there is something more severe, they can always recommend you to like nearby places where you can go and get treated.
Okay.
They are very.
Okay. And how are the career service facilities, and how much does the career center in general help student when it comes to finding a suitable job or internship?
From my experience, it doesn't help a lot in terms of you getting an interview. But if
Mm-hmm.
you already have an interview, it helps you a lot to prepare for it in terms of your resume building, in terms of you doing some dry runs with the career center, like as if you do mock interviews with them, so that you
Mm-hmm.
prepared in terms of how well you can answer a question or what you should change in terms of your tone, in terms of your language, and all those things. So that's in from that sense, like preparing for an interview, the career centers are a lot helpful.
And do they even make your resume on your behalf if needed?
They do. I mean, you have to work with them, but yes, they do suggest a lot of things like change the statement from this to that, and
Mm-hmm.
good suggestions, which impacts a lot when it's used for applying for different positions.
Okay. And what are the options for on-campus job for the student inside the university?
There are a lot. I believe all of us got one or the other job. Majority of the jobs, of course, are in canteens and cafeterias, but we do have also some jobs with respect to in libraries, as well as in these sports clubs, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and we do also do have some event management jobs in the campus as well.
Okay. And how easy is to get into RAs and TA, TA when you are in the university?
So talking about MSIS program, professors do provide teaching assistantship as well as RI opportunities, but
Mm-hmm.
don't have a concept of like your fee waiver. Even if you are RA or a TA, your fee does not get waived. You might get like an hourly pay, but that's about it.
Yeah, many I have heard like many university waive off your tuition fee in case if you get that job. So maybe that is the reason why these jobs are not that so I mean not so popular in your university
That is correct. That
compared
is
to others.
yeah.
Okay, and let's talk about internship. And I yeah, out of curiosity, Parshwa, where did you work when you were in the studying in Santa Clara University?
Oh,
Did you
and
do
on
any
campus.
on-campus job?
Yeah, I did one on-campus job to do some event management work.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
So,
my yeah.
okay. And let's talk about internship.
Mhm.
Did you get any internship when you were a student, and how easy it is to get an internship in your course in specific?
Yeah, I did get one at Oracle. So yeah, I did intern there. And in terms of uh, people getting internships, I would say around 60 to 70% of us did end up getting internships, like in small, medium, or large corporations. So it isn't that bad, but of course it's a lot of struggle. It's not easy at all. You have to be if you have to give a lot of extra efforts to end up getting an internship. So
And how much does this probability of getting a potential job and internship increases, especially when you are in, heart of Silicon Valley?
I think it increases the possibility a lot. Like just your resume having some experience inside the United States gives you
Mm-hmm.
leverage when you're looking for full-time positions.
Okay. And does the college impose any special restriction for international students to become eligible for internship?
So the only general rule is that till the first year of your masters, you cannot
Mm-hmm.
work outside campus, which I guess is generally the rule for every university. But and in summer you can work full time, and once you have worked once the summer is over, then you
Mm.
can only work as an intern part time in any company, and you can't work full time.
Okay,
That's
so when you say for the first year, you mean to say that first entire 1 year or
till
okay,
summer. Till summer. So
okay,
you
till
start in
summer.
till summer, till the summer starts, you can't
Mm-hmm.
outside as an intern or anywhere.
And when did you get yourself enrolled? Was that in fall or
Summer. I
okay,
mean,
summers?
I
Oh,
started my masters in fall, and I got
okay,
my internship in summer. Yeah.
okay. And would you recommend any kind of coursework that could add in more weightage in terms of getting job and internship in
Yeah.
your program in specific?
Absolutely. So Python for sure is like Python for data science is one of the courses that you should look into Udemy or some other websites just
Mm-hmm.
for some Python for data science course, and getting exposed to some big data technologies and machine learning would surely help you get a
Surely.
yeah.
Okay. And now let's talk about housing. So, did you live on campus or off campus?
Uh, I lived off campus. I actually have my cousin living in the Bay Area, so that I just stayed with them. So it was a pretty convenient situation for me.
Oh, that was good. Very rarely students are lucky enough to have their
Yeah.
own relatives. Okay, and so you didn't face any difficulty when it comes to finding a
Yeah.
suitable accommodation,
But
right?
yeah, usually what my friends did was that when they were in India, they pretty much contacted the alumni, got to know about few housing apartments near the campus, and
Mm-hmm.
they like decided on which apartment to choose, kind of thing, right from India, so they don't have to like go there and search for apartments.
So it's better that you take initiative in beforehand before you kind of come inside the college.
Yep.
That would be a right thing for a aspiring student. Okay,
Yeah.
in case if they don't have a cousin like you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now let's talk about faculty. Who was your favorite professor? Or I should say, who is your favorite professor, and what subject was he or she teaching, and what is that you like about that particular professor?
Yeah, sure. uh, I'm not good with remembering names, but uh, one subject which I really liked from the professor was the big data, where they taught about MapReduce and all those technologies. So,
Hmm.
um, and yeah, he has a difficult name, so I can't pronounce it right. But
Okay.
yeah, that course was pretty Mohammed Parsian, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so he was your favorite professor. So other than him, do you remember any other professor in your university who was well known for his achievements, or because he was very popular among your student, yeah,
Hmm.
among the university student? Do you recollect any name?
Yeah, we do have one professor called Sanjeev Das, who was
Mm-hmm.
one of the very renowned professors in the machine learning space. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is that? Did you take classes from him, or
Take,
in general, student like him?
no, I did take one course on R with him
Uh,
in the last semester. So yeah, I had
okay.
to learn from him.
And let's talk about clubs, since you also brought this, when we were talking about activities. So I would like to know if you participated in any of the student club or association at the university,
Mhm.
and if you can tell us about the different kind of clubs that are available for students or where student can enroll.
Yeah, as I said, like there are a lot of different clubs, from like a lot of religious specific clubs, a lot of book reading clubs, sports clubs. The one I was enrolled in was in a department called campus ministry, where
Mm-hmm.
the club basically used to organize events for all the graduate students. uh,
Mm-hmm.
like it was like an happy hour on the first Friday
Okay.
of the month, where all the graduates used to come. We used to serve them free food,
Okay.
and they used to hang out, talk about how their week was or how things are going and things like that. So that was a pretty chill one. Yeah.
And what do just other than participating in these clubs, what do students generally do for entertainment purpose?
Uh, there are a lot of courts, so people end up playing table tennis, badminton, and things like that. Or
Okay.
there are a lot of like cafeterias nearby, so they hang out over there. Or
Mm-hmm.
other than that, I guess people are pretty busy studying in libraries. So
Okay, now coming to the busy part of a student life, I want to know when you were a student, what was your general routine like in terms of spending, time doing homework and studies? On an average, if I have to ask you in a week or in a day, how many hours did you spend in total, doing your homework and attending to lectures?
yeah, I would say on a regular day, I used to spend around 5 to 6 hours, like working, doing my homework, or attending lectures.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, and this is like usually in the starting of my semester, but as the semester progresses and exams come in and projects start uh, being assigned, the
Mm-hmm.
hours increase from like 6 to around 8.
Okay. And how would you rate the academic pressure and workload in your program on the scale of 1 to 10?
I would say 7.
7. Okay. And would you like to tell us about your course structure? What is that you really liked about, or what is that you really didn't like about the course structure?
Yeah, sure. So our course structure was like 70% technical, 30% management specific. So we had
Mm-hmm.
courses which taught us about leadership skills, financial
Mm-hmm.
management, and all those things, along with the technical courses like database management, big data, machine learning, etc. So
Okay.
what I liked was the 70% of the uh, course had a lot of new technologies which are relevant to the industry or my current job role as well. So
Mm-hmm.
things that I learned in my masters, I am applying that knowledge in my current job, which is great.
Okay.
Things I liked a bit less was few of these management courses, which and that's my personal interest. Like I don't uh, have passion to like learn finance or things like that, but
Mm-hmm.
those were like the core courses which we had to take. uh, so that was like one of the less.
Okay, which you were not very inclined towards.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about the expense. If
Mhm.
if a aspiring student wants to do your course from
Yeah.
Santa Clara University, what would be the tuition fee that they're gonna incur
The tuition fee is going to be around $55,000 for 2 years.
for 2 years? Okay, and what about the other? And does this tuition fee also include your health insurance from the university?
uh, During my time it did, but right now, uh, uh, if I say 50 right now, I guess every year they increase the per credit dollar amount. So
Okay,
right now, if I think about it, if you include health insurance and all those things, it might end up between 55,000 to $60,000.
$60,000.
But
Okay.
my time, yes. Yeah.
And what about the cost on staying, food, and spending money on your stationery and all those things? So overall, what would be the per month cost that a student can incur?
Yeah, if you're living near the campus, your rent or housing cost would be around between $500 to $600.
Hmm. That
And
you're talking about the shared apartment, right?
apartments, like if
Okay.
2 bedroom apartments, there would be like 5 to 6 people living, then you would end
Okay.
up paying $500 to $600.
Okay.
Or
And food and transport and all those things would be.
transportation won't be that bad because even if you have like a bicycle, you
Hmm.
can commute to the university in like less than 5 minutes, so that's good. But in terms
Okay.
of food, you might end up around $100 a month.
Okay.
Yeah,
So all around like around $600 to $700, right? In
yeah,
overall, in case if you stay in a shared apartment near the campus, which include your transportation, food, and paying rent, right?
yep.
Okay. Now let's talk about financial aid and scholarship. Did you apply for any financial aid And does the college provide any kind of merit-based or need-based scholarship to the students?
So if I recollect correctly, you don't have to apply separately for financial aid. Usually, once you like apply normally for your course for the course, you end up,
Mm-hmm.
like, you are considered by default for any scholarships if any available. So I did end up receiving around $2,000 of scholarship, but it's very rare. When I ask my friends, like hardly 10% of us receive scholarship, and that too like very minimal amount. It's not
So
like
that $2,000 rebate was on your tuition fee, right? The overall tuition fee, or every semester?
no overall
The
tuition.
entire.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And do you remember, was there any criteria that a student need to fit in to qualify for these kind of scholarship, or is it like
They don't
random?
disclose any. Yeah, it's pretty
Okay,
much up to them. Yeah.
to decide
Yeah.
and choose. Okay. Now, what about need-based scholarship? In case if you're not able to pay some your tuition fee, how does university help?
That's a good question. I did not inquire a lot, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure there would be some facilities where you could, where yeah, there would be some of the other facilities, but I haven't inquired a lot about it. So
Okay, okay, all right. Now let's talk about placement. I first of all want to know, where are you working right now, Parshwa, after graduating, and did your university and the career center help you get into this job?
yeah, so I'm working at Oracle
Yeah, I
in
see in the background. Okay. Uh,
yeah. But in terms of getting a job interview,
mm-hmm.
um, uh, in my case, career centers or university was not helpful a lot. But yes, of course, we had a lot of career fairs where Oracle, Facebook, Google, all these companies do come.
Mm-hmm.
But my interview did not come from one of those leeways. I had to like apply normally on their websites and get an interview, and I got the job from there.
Okay, so that's how you landed up into a job. And what is your role called in Oracle? What's the position?
So
Your
yeah, it's a solutions engineer.
Okay. And now let's talk about, as you said, in your case, the career center didn't help you much, but you were lucky enough to land into a potential job with a Fortune 500 company. But I want to know, in case of student who do not get a job, how much does career center help, and what is the role that the career counselor
Yeah,
plays in those scenarios?
yeah. So I'm the good thing is that they of course are there to help you as much as you want. So if I end up requesting them to take 50 mock interviews for me just so that I'm good with that, they would.
Mm-hmm.
If I ask them to connect with me with like 50 different alumni from the university, they would help me do that. It's all about
Okay.
my own personal initiative. How much do how much of an initiative, how much initiatives I take to
Mm-hmm.
ask the career fair team to help me
Mm-hmm.
with job interviews, as well as like getting me connections. They would be more than
Okay.
happy to do it.
But they would be for sure stepping in and helping you in case if you don't get a job.
Yeah.
Okay. But cracking interview is something which only you and you have to do. Okay. And now let's talk about the companies. Can you name some of the companies who hired students from your program?
Yeah, sure. Few of the companies I can think of are Apple. I mean, all the big companies that I can name are Apple, Oracle, Visa, Google.
Mm-hmm.
These are the few companies, and Amazon. Yes, yeah,
Okay.
all companies. Yeah.
And what is the package that they kind of offer if you have a range, especially for a student who graduate from your program?
Yeah. Usually, it's on an average around $100,000.
Okay, 100K.
Yeah.
All right. That's a good number. And let's talk about general advice. So I want to know if you want to give some general advice to future student which could be related to your course or campus or curriculum. So
Mm.
any advice that you want to give it to aspiring student?
Yeah. Uh, One thing for sure is to choose the courses uh, wisely and work hard. For sure, it's not a easy journey. It's gonna take you a lot of road. It's gonna
Mm,
a lot of roadblocks in between, but everyone has been through that and come like reach the destination the other side. So it's
okay.
patience, it's about hard work, persistence, determination, and yeah, I mean there are fruitful results if you work hard. So
And what is your understanding when you say that you need to choose course wisely? What wisdom are you talking about?
so a lot of times you just blindly see the demand where it's going and you end up taking that course. So in my
Mm-hmm.
case, and it's a fact that if I'm doing masters in computer engineering, my chances
Mm-hmm.
of getting a job are a lot higher than if I'm doing a masters in information systems.
Okay.
But if I'm doing masters in computer engineering, it's expected from me to have good programming skills uh,
Mm-hmm.
in Java or Python or whatever. If I'm doing masters in information systems, it's fine for me not to be great in programming skills, but be good with other things like data analytics and machine learning. So my
Okay.
interest right there, even though the demand was less, I chose to go with information systems and not software engineering. So I'm talking about that.
Okay, okay, that ways they need to be wise enough. Okay, now this has been a very long conversation. Now, coming to our last question, I want to know, is there any particular mistake that you made which you want to warn the future student about? And if you have not made it, is there any particular mistake that you have heard your,
Yeah.
fellow mates talking about that a student should never ever do it or should be,
Yeah.
aware of it?
Yeah. Yeah, one mistake which I made was when I started looking for my internships. I
Mm-hmm.
was very specific in my mind that I want to do only this type of job. So, like in my case, I even though I didn't have any previous experience, the only
Mm-hmm.
thought I envisioned for myself was product management. So I applied for all product management internship positions out in the market, literally like hundreds and hundreds of positions. But
Okay.
the brutal truth is that if you don't have previous experience in product management, you cannot. It's re- relatively very difficult to
Get
get
into.
a role
Okay.
directly into a product management. You have to take transition and reach product management positions. So don't have that very fixed mindset that I want to do only this job and this type of environment in this type of company. Be a little bit flexible because getting your first job or your first internship is always going to be very difficult. Once you get
Mm-hmm.
that job and once you are comfortable with the environment and culture and you're settled in, then it's fine. When you're looking for next job, have your own terms and conditions with respect to your job title, your salary, and all that things. But for the first time, keep it a bit wide open, flexible, and just look for all positions and all opportunities out in the market.
Okay, that was really helpful. And I just out of curiosity, when you worked as an intern in Oracle, what was your position more like?
It was application developer intern. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so it was, and that was completely out of what I was looking for. I was looking for data analytics, product management, all those things, and I
Okay.
landed in application development. So
Okay, and yeah, it makes sense that you go to that company, you make a repo, and then once you're done, so that should be the basic motto, in not to just run behind positions, that
right.
you can only do this and that. This was really helpful, Parshwa, and I really appreciate your time. And uh, this one is for sure gonna help a lot of student. And I since you are one of our expert who are there on the ConnectBud platform, student might reach out to you asking their concern directly, or maybe as writing a general question. So please feel free to answer their concern and question. And thank you so much again, Parshva, and you have a good night.
Yeah,
Bye bye.
absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah,
Take
bye.
care. Bye.